it's been a requirement now that fighters will have to take and pass 2 COVID-19 tests, first upon arrival and then in Las Vegas, and then second following Friday's weigh-in. What are your thoughts on these UFC requirements now?
I think it's great for the sport. I think the only way that we should be able to compete is if we have the test. Nobody wants to go in there and compete with somebody that comes Sunday that they tested positive for COVID-19. Then you have to go home to your loved ones, your family. I think they're doing the right thing. And even if you leave the premises and you're not like within the hotel environment, you have to get tested again. So they're not playing games.
How do you feel generally about being involved in the only sport that has actually put on matches, has actually existed really since COVID, since social distancing? At least in this country, there's been, golf charity matches and stuff, but at the major league level, the UFC is the only one to have staged events. And though a couple have come before you, you're early on in this wave. What does that feel like to you?
I mean, it's different because we don't have, 11 people on the field, or we don't have, a huge team like some of these other sporting events. And, UFC usually needs like 300 people to produce a UFC event, but they've cut that in half. And obviously having it at the Apex, they got the ability to do a lot of production in different rooms. So it's just unique that we can go in there, and then obviously it's one-on-one. So for me, I was training so hard. I've been training since November. I was supposed to fight in March. Then I was supposed to fight in April. Then I was supposed to fight in the beginning of May. So I just want to get this performance out. So I've been training my butt off, and I just want to kick somebody in the head.
Yeah, so I want to take it into the octagon. What can we expect from this fight? With you having over a year layoff and you have a lot of pent-up aggression, it sounds like. What can we expect out of you guys, specifically in the first round? Because I know your last fight, you won in the first round. So what can we expect, and how should people be excited about buying and watching this fight?
When people see me come back, a lot of people think about ring rust. I don't believe in ring rust. I won the world title after being off for 18 months. I had an injury where I was out for a long time. I came back and finished with a knockout. So I think it's what you're doing at off time. And I've been sharpening myself. I've been training hard. I've been mentally getting, and people just don't recognize how much goes into the sport of mixed martial arts. It's not just training. You got personal stuff. You got, just the politics that deal with mixed martial arts. And then you got the training on top of that. So many things that goes into just being a great fighter. You got to be a name. You got to be a draw. You got to be a whole personality. But then you still got to fight, win in dominant fashion. You can't just go out there and squeak wins out because people don't want to see that. So for me, I'm just coming out there to give a dominant performance. I want to let it be known from the first window. I said on the soundbite, anybody bleeding and breathing can get it. And a lot of people asking to fight me, and they really don't know what they're asking for. You asking to fight me now when I'm the most focused, I'm determined, I'm injury-free, and I just want to whoop somebody's ass. So it's like, I don't think you really want to see me right now. And I think you're going to find that out real quick.
You're favored to win. Last time in the octagon, over a year ago, you lose your title. Now in boxing, how many did you make? 3 welterweight title defenses before you lost?
Four
title defenses, right, of the championship. In boxing, it's prize fighting. Belts do mean stuff to fighters, but it's prize fighting. They're trying to look for the biggest payday, usually. In the UFC, because it's one organization with more central control, titles seem to mean more because there's one championship per division. What is your motivation? Is it prize fighting for you, or do you want that belt back?
At the end of the day, the pride in me wants that belt back because I know I wasn't there that night. It was just basically like a bad dream. I was having like an out-of-body experience. So for that, I want the belt back. But at the end of the day, I've been in the sport for 15 years, and, I want to go out there, make the living that I'm supposed to make, but I also want to get that belt back. When you look at, some of the most lucrative fights right now are not title fights. You're looking at the Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. Yes, it was a BMF belt, but it's not a world title belt. And you look at the Conor McGregor fights and some of these other super fights, they make the most money. They make way more than a champion. And once you become a champion, a lot of people get the belt. They don't understand what comes with it. It's the pressure behind defending the belt and then having to take on all comers and having to take on the number one contenders. I fought Mr. Goody Two-Shoe 1, 2, and 3. Those aren't big fights that are going to sell. Those aren't fights that, Damian Maya and Wonder Boy, these are the nicest dudes on earth. They're not going to talk crap. So I got to go out and compete against guys that are just phenomenal athletes and very great at what they do, but they may not get the Conor McGregor effect, or they may not get, the DC versus John Jones effect. And, pretty soon I'll get the equal opposite, somebody that's really to spot off a little bit, but also ready to put on a great show.
I want to focus on this upcoming fight. How does it end? How do you end this
I'm
fight?
gonna hurt this guy. I mean, at the end of the day, like, people just forget, and he gonna unfortunately be a sacrificial lamb to get a reminder to the world of what I'm capable of. Like, he been asked in the fight. He had just fought like a week before my fight dropped out. He fought on March 14th. My fight dropped off March 21st. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I'll fight. I'll step in." They are capped. They say it because they know they have to live up to it. They know it's not going to happen, so they put themselves out there and try to look good to the promotion and good to Dana that they're willing to step up anytime, anywhere. But now you actually got to fight me. Now all the shit you've been talking, all the crap, you got to live up to it. So when I go out there and I beat your head in, you really gonna have to walk out the octagon with that little puppy dog face. So at the end of the day, like I said before, people think they want to fight me. You don't want to fight this version of Tyron. This ain't what you saw the last time. This ain't what you saw in some of these other fights that you guys have been studying. This is one that's got different wrinkles, different tools, and ready to come out there and just get it on.
Yeah, you mentioned some different wrinkles. You've also got some tools musically. People may not know this. You can go on Spotify, find some collaborations, even one with Wiz Khalifa. So let's talk about it. Are you better as a lyricist or better as a fighter? How would you rate those two skills that you have?
I'm better at a fighter right now because I just started doing music by 3 years ago. So if I had just started doing fighting 3 years ago, then maybe we'd be equating that. But I've been fighting my whole life. I probably got 30 fights in the street before even the octagon. And then when you think about the wrestling component and you think about the mixed martial arts, it's like an equalizer. This dial on equalizer is so high because I've been doing it so long.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.